Elden Ring is hard. It's a very, very hard game. We're going to talk about that. This is Neon. This is Clownfish TV. I'm not here with Geeky Sparkles today. She's out and about, but we're going to talk a little bit about the reception to the difficulty of Elden Ring, which is an amazing game. Squid King bought it the other day, and I've been watching him play and die again and die again and die again. But the kid is actually sticking with it, which I admire, because after a while I would have been like, yeah, I'm bored, I'm tired of dying. But that was part of the charm, I guess, charm being the word I'm going to use here, charm of NES and early Genesis era video games, arcade games, is that you died a lot and you learned to get good. You're not allowed to get good. According to some game developers now, games should have an easy mode or an invincibility toggle, that if you bought the game, you deserve to beat the game. That's how this works, right? So I'm going to talk about this because the director had to come out and apologize for the game being too hard. This is the guy who does the Souls games, right? Like, you know these games are hard, right? They're notoriously difficult. But there's a lot of discussion about difficulty in video games and accessibility, and people are conflating those two things. They're like, well, we have to make games more accessible for more people. That doesn't necessarily mean there has to be a pussy mode on games that were designed to challenge you. So before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 260,000 subs. Thank you so much for the support. We do talk about the video game industry sometimes. We've been talking about difficulty in video games. In fact, Squid King and I did a video on this subject last summer, talking about Microsoft calling for an end to get good. And this has been kind of a rallying cry of Twitter and Resetera and games journos who don't actually play very many games, saying that video games need to get rid of the get good attitude that has been with gaming since the very beginning. Video games have always been competitive, whether you're competing against somebody else or competing against the AI, trying to get the best score, the high score, trying to beat your friends in Street Fighter. Video games have always been very competitive. And, in the last couple of years, video games feel more like interactive movies or, sandbox type games. There's nothing wrong with games like that. I mean, I enjoy Animal Crossing, right? I like The Sims every once in a while, but there's something to be said for completing a very, very hard game. Back in the day, we had Ghouls and Ghosts and Goblins, and I was excited to see there was a new, not new now, but there was a new game out, Resurrection. And then I was kind of disappointed because the game's producer said that they were going to add an easy mode to it. And I guess it gets easier. The more you die, the easier the game gets. And they're doing that for accessibility reasons. But if you didn't grow up in the 80s and 90s, you don't understand, right? The G&G series were the Souls games of the day. Like them and Ninja Gaiden were very, very, very difficult games. In fact, Ghosts and Goblins, I freaking bit my Genesis controller. There were teeth marks in my Genesis controller because I was so frustrated with the game. I eventually did beat it, but it took months and months of practice. Very, very hard game. So when they're like, hey, we're bringing the series back, we're just going to make it very easy for people to beat. I'm like, what the hell? That kind of defeats the purpose, right? But lots of people calling for hard games to be made easier. I saw this floating around Twitter. Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, needs to respect its players and add an easy mode. Need to add an easy mode, right? And this guy here, CBD, joking about how Elden Ring needs to respect its players and add an easy mode. But he was joking. He was joking. But a lot of these games journos, they're not joking. So let's talk about the director. Elden Ring's director is apologetic to people that find the game too hard. Many Elden Ring players struggle with the game's difficulty, and From Software executive Miyazaki feels apologetic to them. During a recent interview, Miyazaki acknowledged that since Demon's Souls was released back in 2009, a portion of the player base was walking away due to the difficulty. Although Elden Ring has been purchased by many more fans, The theme remains the case as some players aren't prepared for the repeated deaths they're likely to experience during their playthrough. Despite the fact that Miyazaki confirmed that the From Software team is working on ways to make its games easier and death more enjoyable, he also stated that challenge is part of the studio's identity. Not every game is for every player, people. I'm sorry. And it's not necessarily an accessibility issue. Miyazaki also stated he feels apologetic to Elden Ring players who find it too hard and went on to clarify, "I just want as many players as possible to experience the joy that comes from overcoming hardship." The difficulty from software games doesn't only divide a large portion of the player base, as there are several Twitch streamers who have tried and failed to explore the lands between as well. Popular Twitch streamers have criticized the difficulty of Elden Ring and other From Software titles, while streamers like Asmongold praise such game design. Yeah, you don't see it very often. This was like every freaking game that we played as kids. If you grew up with the NES, Super NES, wasn't really until PS2, I would say. Some PS1 games, but PS2 that it started to feel like games were getting easier, very lengthy in-game tutorials, the inability to stupidly die. Like a lot of times you wouldn't be able to, die permadeath and lose everything. Going back to the NES, a lot of that I think came from these developers working on arcade games, and arcade games were designed to take your quarters. So they were supposed to be hard. Plus it was bragging rights. You'd brag, "Hey, I beat this game. I beat this game on $1 I beat this game on $1. I beat my friend at Street Fighter." You know what I'm saying? So when these developers moved over to consoles, they brought that with them, and they were kind of like, "Yeah, this game is hard as hell, but we're used to making games that are hard as hell because we want quarters. That's the purpose, right? Get the quarters." There are many intense boss fights in Elden Ring that will have players dying multiple times to discover their attack and movement patterns. I know this. I've been watching my son play it, and he's like, "Holy shit, this game is hard." But he also liked the Souls game, and so far he hasn't been biting his controller or anything, right? So he's doing better than I did. Not every game is for every player, but there is this definite tendency, especially on Twitter, for people to want games to be easy. And I'm just checking some of the comments here. It's like there's a lot of discussion about the difficulty of Elden Ring, and From Software should allow players to choose. After 50 hours in the game, I wholeheartedly agree and hope they're listening. The game would be even better if there was an option to select a higher difficulty. Ooh. We'll never understand the resistance to adding difficulty and accessibility options for any game. Like, if you think a pause button or quest log would ruin Elden Ring, I don't know what's wrong with you. Souls fans are insufferable. Don't play it. I'm not trying to be that guy. Like, don't play it. Don't subject yourself to the abuse. It's just like if you can't handle spicy food and you start downing ghost peppers, that's on you. I mean, most people don't eat ghost peppers, right? But like, if you're gonna complain about it, you know what you're in for. You know what this game is about. You know that it's punishingly difficult. And if you play it and you get pissed off that you can't beat it, I'm sorry, that's on you. I don't think anybody's going to call you a pussy, because not every game is for every player. But it's very well advertised. It's not like we're talking about a Mario game. Seeing this accessibility versus difficulty discussion come up again. Having a game accessible to groups who may not be able to play the game the way most of us do is still an issue. Okay, that is different. Yeah. Accessibility is not difficulty. Difficulty is a stylistic choice that dev intended. Man, I really want to play it, but I'm struggling to find the confidence to learn a notoriously difficult game live on stream. I'm conflicted. What do you guys think I should do? Don't play it. Me after 50 hours. This is the easiest Souls game yet. Yeah, this Elden Ring daily discourse is tiring to see. It would literally not affect me whatsoever if there was an easier difficulty for others. In fact, there's probably mods soon enough. Dark Souls always had an easy mode mods. No one complains about them. Yeah, but it's you know, it's a hot new release. Everybody's talking about this game, and of course, you know, a new game comes out. It has to be for you. It has to be something you can beat. You know, and that's the thing. It's like it's not every game's for every player, and don't play it. I don't play the Souls games. I have zero interest. I've watched my son play them. He actually enjoys them. I don't give a shit. I don't play them. This is funny. Would appear Elden Ring was more difficult than I anticipated. Going back to GameStop with your copy. Yeah, you can actually refund it. There's actually an article out here. How to refund Elden Ring on Steam and Xbox. If it's too hard, you can get a refund. You can get a refund. That's, people are looking how to get a refund on this game. So I don't know, guys. I think it's been very well advertised. This is going to be a difficult game. And if you buy it, that's on you. That's on you. If you hate it, I'm sorry. But not every game is for every player. So I'm going to wrap this one up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.